Welcome to the monthly Q&A video where I answer your questions about wrestling, life, hobbies, whatever. For this video, I've taken questions from both the YouTube community tab as well as X. So if you want to be featured in next month's Q&A video, make sure that you look out for posts on both X and the YouTube community tab. As always, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, ring that bell for notifications. If you're a wrestling fan, I know you're going to fall in love with his YouTube channel because we always upload daily wrestling content. All right, let's get to your questions. Is it really a good idea to have two part-timers, John Cena and The Rock, carrying both of the top championships as you predict? This is fake news, people. Fake news everywhere. I never actually predicted this. I did predict that John Cena and The Rock would both win world titles, but I never said that they should win the world titles at the same time. I think that at some point it does make sense for The Rock to have a championship run and for Cena to have his 17th championship run. But if they were to do it at the same time, it is objectively a bad idea. As you said, they are both part-timers. At the very least, we can say that about The Rock almost certainly. I don't know what Cena's schedule is going to look like when he's in the role of his retirement tour, but I can imagine that he's also not going to be there every single week. So yeah, it's a terrible idea for them to both be champions at the same time. But again, that's not what I predicted. I predicted that they would both be champions at some point. Which wrestler is most likely to win a world championship by a roll-up? Now, I'm not saying this because I'm the glazer of Dominic Mysterio and it's kind of appropriate that I'm wearing this shirt, but I do think if anybody's going to win a world championship via a roll-up, it is Dominic Mysterio. With the work that Dominic Mysterio has done over the last couple of years, the improvement that he's shown, I could absolutely see Dominic Mysterio being a Weasley heel champion somewhere down the line within the next 5 to 10 years. But with being a Weasley champion, I think it would be entirely on brand to win a major championship, hold such a major accomplishment in the WWE, and winning it in the most Weasliest way possible via a roll-up. If you want to add even more Weaselness into it, then you should have him roll somebody up in a triple threat and have him roll up not the champion. That'd be even funnier. But with how often Dominic Mysterio wins matches because of distractions or any sort of other shenanigans, it does make sense that if Dom were to win a world championship, that it would be in some fluky way like this. What is your favorite storyline in WWE right now? I've been pretty vocal about this. I've said that the best storyline right now in the WWE is Cody Rhodes versus Drew McIntyre. It's also the most developed storyline, which kind of makes it easier to pick because it's at the point where it's about to reach its climax as they go into Bad Blood in Hell in a Cell. But of course, this feud goes beyond the 3 matches that they've had. It goes even before that with the Royal Rumble, the injury, the thing that happened at WrestleMania 40 with the cash-in, the amount of times that CM Punk has screwed over Drew McIntyre leading into their trilogy of matches. But I think it's the best feud going on in wrestling right now, and they have the best stipulation going into Bad Blood, and because of that, I'm going to continue to be very vocal about this. They should be the main event of Bad Blood. I just don't care that it's Cody Rhodes' hometown. They go to Atlanta multiple times a year, and people try to use the argument, well, you gave Gunther in Berlin the main event, you gave Sami Zayn the main event in Montreal, you gave Drew McIntyre the main event in Glasgow, but like that's entirely different and not comparable because especially Berlin and Glasgow, these are places that they literally go to once every like a lifetime. So Cody Rhodes can main event the next show in Atlanta that I'm sure will happen next year. But right now it should just be the best available match for the stipulation that is most known for Bad Blood. Thoughts on the Wyatt Six so far? Have they officially lived up to the initial hype, or do we need more time? I would say that they've lived up to it, but I also agree that they need more time. I love the presentation. I really like the feud with American Made, but I'm still asking questions, which is why I'm leaning towards saying we still need more time to properly judge the Wyatt Six. I think that once they have 2-3 feuds under their belt, I'll be able to truly understand what this faction is all about, what the motivations of Uncle Howdy truly are, and then I can truly make a judgment call as to whether or not they've been a success or a failure. But as it stands right now, I do think that they're a success overall. Do you ever think that Drew McIntyre will win a world title again? I absolutely do. I actually think it would be crazy to say that he won't win a world title again. Drew McIntyre is doing the best work of his career, and he seems to be continually getting better every single month, and his progression over the last 11 months has been truly mesmerizing. He's one of the best character workers in the WWE, consistently puts on banger matches. The dude is in incredible shape. He still has plenty of life left in his career. It would be crazy to think that Drew McIntyre at this stage in his career, with how important he is to the WWE and how beloved he is by the fans, with how good his work is, for him to not win another world title seems like a borderline impossibility. Plus, it continues to be a conversation point in this development of this version of Drew McIntyre, who just wants to do away with Punk and go for the world title. So it's still clearly a motivation in his head. He still feels like he was screwed out of the world title numerous times, even after winning it at WrestleMania 40. So yes, Drew McIntyre's motivations are still looking towards a world title, and how he's being portrayed on screen to us as fans make us see Drew McIntyre as a very legitimate future world champion. And I don't think that this is one of those situations where you have to wait years. Like, it could happen sooner rather than later.
No. Oh,
I remember this spot.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine? The making of a superstar right here.
Oh yeah, dude. It's
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Is this
oh.
That, folks, was a sneak peek of this week's Wrestling is Cool Match Club, which is available exclusively on patreon.com/SantiZap. This week, we'll be doing a watch-along of the WrestleMania 32 Intercontinental Championship ladder match. The greatest squash match of all time, Shawn Michaels versus Vince McMahon in a street fight at WrestleMania 22. Bianca Belair versus Sasha Banks at WrestleMania 37. The Boneyard match between AJ Styles and The Undertaker at WrestleMania 36. And one of the greatest matches of all time, Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Bret the Hitman Hart at WrestleMania 13. It's a little WrestleMania week this time. You can find these alongside the Raw review, SmackDown reviews, and the Wrestling is Cool podcast 3 days early, all over on the Patreon. Once again, that's patreon.com/SantiZap. Come on over, give it a shot for 1 month. I think that you're really gonna like the offerings there. Just give it a shot, but back to the video. Do you think that Brock Lesnar could return at the 2015 Royal Rumble? I think that at this point, all bets are off with Brock Lesnar. Anything could happen. I think he could return next week. He could return tonight when I'm recording this on the new episode of Friday Night SmackDown on USA. It's very possible that he just never comes back. It's really difficult to predict what Brock Lesnar is all about because his motivations are so different from other wrestlers, and it seems like the WWE, they seem to be down, but they're just sort of waiting on Brock Lesnar. And it also appears that WWE doesn't seem to be too caught up in all of the allegations that Brock Lesnar is facing, because they aren't afraid to name drop him anymore. They've mentioned Brock Lesnar time after time after time in the WWE. So I would like to say that it's inevitable, but it could also just be never. It's so difficult to tell with Lesnar. Why don't you upload Raw and SmackDown reviews on YouTube? I don't do that because they're exclusive to Patreon, and people on Patreon pay to get exclusive content, and this is one of those pieces of exclusive content. I do see people on YouTube asking to bring the Patreon stuff over here, but like, you already get 8 videos a week here on YouTube. It actually would hurt the health of the YouTube channel if I brought even more content here on YouTube. Like, the Patreon is the Patreon, the YouTube is the YouTube. They're entirely separate beings. If you want to be one of those super hardcore fans and you want even more wrestling content than what I'm already offering on YouTube, which is already a lot, then the Patreon is there. Sorry, but I'm never gonna feel guilty because I give people on Patreon exclusive content to things that they pay for. But I'm also not gonna tone down the things that I do on YouTube because I still want to just absolutely hit you with tsunamis amounts of content here on YouTube, which I am. So the Patreon will never hurt the YouTube will never hurt the Patreon, okay? So just let the two coexist. What other sport are you invested in besides wrestling? Right now, obviously, with the start of the season, I'm heavily invested in American football. I'll preface before my European friends are like, "Oi, that's not football, innit?" I also do love European world football as well, but it's just right now what I'm in the moment is American football. Once the NBA starts, I'll be deep into that as well. I love world football, like as in like countries. Like, I root to death my country of Colombia in qualifiers. They just beat Argentina Argentina. Well done, fellas. But the sport that I'm probably the most into on a week-by-week basis would be the NFL. Santi, do you think that Punk will win another world title? I think this is a tough question. I want to say yes. I'm less convinced about Punk winning a title than I am Drew McIntyre. I feel like Drew McIntyre winning another title is a foregone conclusion, but I don't necessarily feel the same way about CM Punk. I feel like CM Punk has transcended needing titles in order to feel special, in order to be a main event caliber draw within the WWE. Especially with him being on like the last legs of his career. I mean, we're talking about somebody that's north of 45 and he's still such a massive draw. To put the labor behind having to be there for live shows and being a fighting champion every single month might be too much for Punk. I don't know. That's why I'm less convinced, but would I love to see CM Punk as another world champion again? Hell yeah, absolutely. I'm here for it. You guys already know that Punk is one of my favorites. I'm less bullish on that position than I am on McIntyre winning again. What is your best premium live event so far this year? I mean, it's WrestleMania 40. Like, it just is. Like, in terms of the quality of matches, the awesome moments that happened on that show, like, we're talking about generational type moments that happened at WrestleMania 40. Granted, there's been some great shows as well, like SummerSlam. I would argue that pound for pound, SummerSlam was better than WrestleMania. WrestleMania is just better than SummerSlam because it had more volume and more opportunities to create memorable moments. But I would say personally that if you take 8 matches from WrestleMania and 8 matches from SummerSlam, pound for pound, SummerSlam was just a more quality show. But I am going to say WrestleMania 40. I think it's like the default answer. That's what most people will probably have. In terms of AEW, I'm going to say All In, which was just a friggin' amazing show. Do you plan on doing something specific after you're done making wrestling content? Do you ever plan to stop? I do plan to stop. Listen, I'll be honest with you. Like, I feel like YouTube and content creation to a degree is a young person's game. I just don't see very many 50-year-old wrestling YouTubers doing this thing successfully. Do I see myself doing this in 20 years down the line? I don't think so. I just don't think that that's a very realistic goal to have. I do foresee myself doing this for the foreseeable future, maybe 5-10 years, but I don't have the mentality that this is what I'm going to do right up until retirement. I think that that would just be unrealistic, and because it's unrealistic, I also think it's a dangerous mentality to have. I'm very much ready to go back into the workforce should I need to, but ideally I'd like to start a business with whatever I earn from making wrestling content around the world of influencers, content creation, and marketing. I don't exactly know what that looks like, whether it's starting my own agency, whatever it might be, but we're still several years down the line. But really, to answer your question, no, I don't see me doing this forever. At some point, I'm gonna stop. What's a match that you wished you could watch for the first time again? Am I crazy? But I think it's just Cody versus Roman WrestleMania 40. Like, if I could relive the excitement of like the last 8 minutes of that match, I'd be a happy man. It is the coolest night of professional wrestling. Like, that stretch of all of these crazy returns, music hitting, like I don't think WWE will ever be able to replicate that ever again. So yeah, I know there might be a little bit of recency bias, but I'm telling you, it's not just recency bias. WrestleMania 40, that main event is one of the pinnacles of all of professional wrestling. The 70 plus years that WWE, WWF, WWF has been around, WrestleMania 40 is one of those peaks in the history of this sport. And the WrestleMania 40 crescendoed by the amazing main event and all the crazy surprises. That's the match I wish I could forget so that I could rewatch it again. If you were a booker, how long do you think a champion should hold a title, especially in a year like 2024 when our rosters are packed with talent? I personally would do like 6-month reigns with maybe once in a blue moon doing a year-long reign. I do understand the need to probably want Cody Rhodes to have a year-long reign because the follow-up after Roman Reigns, like, you can't just have a 3-4 month reign after what Roman Reigns just did. I foresee that after Cody drops the belt, we're going to go to a more traditional cadence of new champions like we've been seeing with the World Heavyweight Championship. But I do suspect that Cody Rhodes is going to have a lengthy reign because you're following up like one of the most historic reigns of all time. So WWE is going to want to make sure that Cody doesn't look like a complete chump and lose it so quickly after Roman held it for 3+ years. So for me, a 6 month at the max, and then like if I have a truly special champion, then we can start talking about those CM Punk like reigns of a year, 400 days, etc. Do you think that John Cena will have one more title run to have the record for most title wins? I absolutely 100% unequivocally believe that John Cena is going to win the 17th. Not because I love John Cena, which I do, he's one of my favorites, but because to me it's just a logical next step for WWE to continue to make their history a bit more savory. It'd just be better for the record books if their Mickey Mouse, their face of the most family-friendly era of professional wrestling, John Cena, is the face and considered the GOAT of professional wrestling over somebody like Ric Flair, who continues to just make it easier for WWE to want to move him out of the history books. Yeah, I think that that's the goal. I think it's the plan for Cena, and I think it's the best thing that WWE can do for themselves from a PR standpoint. Do you think that Jey Uso will win the 2025 Royal Rumble? You must be new around here. We don't give Jey Uso any single sort of singles accolades wins. Intercontinental championships, yeet. Actually, I guess I should say no yeet. US championship, no yeet. Winning Money in the Bank, no yeet. Like, this dude is just there to be super popular, be beloved, but just continue to disappoint his fans. I don't think that he's gonna win the Royal Rumble. I have a hard time seeing him win any sort of singles acclamates or claim fame, anything like that, with how he's been booked recently. Are you still maintaining your health well with this grueling schedule, especially now since football is starting again? I am. Thank you for asking. Right now, I might look like a disheveled mess. I haven't been able to get a haircut and whatnot. Don't worry. I feel good, and I do think that I look good as well. Your boy, I don't know if you can tell, I've lost 30 pounds since the start of the summer. I've been really honing in on my diet, making sure that I stay active, going to the gym, not overeating, not eating out, not pigging out at 3 a.m. in the morning with 5 burritos and an entire large pizza, which I am capable of doing. But I do think that with this schedule that I have, that it's really important that I take care of myself physically and up here in the noggin as well. You've spoken about the probability of Jade Cargill turning heel against Bianca, but what do you think about Bianca being the one to turn on Jade? I feel like it would make sense from the point of view that Bianca would be jealous of Jade's presence and rise. Look, I'm not opposed to the idea of Bianca Belair turning heel. I've seen Bianca as a heel in NXT and she was pretty darn good. It's just that I've seen Jade Cargill as a heel in AEW and she was significantly better than Bianca Belair as a heel. That's kind of where I'm coming from here. On top of that, I think that Bianca Belair is a much better babyface than Jade Cargill is. So I think that we should play to their strength and have Jade Cargill be the heel and have Bianca Belair be the babyface in this scenario. I also just think that Bianca Belair is just too damn popular to ever turn heel. I think Bianca Belair might be at the John Cena point of being a forever babyface. I don't know that the WWE would ever turn her heel at this point. What wrestling pay-per-view has the most comfort or nostalgia to you? It doesn't have to be the best pay-per-view necessarily, but one that you hold close to your heart. Oh, that's a great question. This is just such a random answer, but WrestleMania 22 is kind of like my comfort show that I can put on and just feel warm and cozy, and it takes my mind back to a simpler time. I think part of the reason why I love it is because I've watched it so many damn times, because I had the VHS of WrestleMania 22 and I remember like watching it over and over and over and over again. Like, I feel like I know that pay-per-view from beginning to end, every single move, every single spot, every single like commentary line. So for me, it's WrestleMania 22. I love that show. Where and when do you think Charlotte Flair returns? If you're watching this before the episode of SmackDown on the USA Network, I think SmackDown debut on the USA Network. I think that episode is going to have a lot of major components, return shocks, to really get people hooked on SmackDown in USA. And I think this would be a great return. I'm going to say tonight, if you're watching this tonight. If you're watching this in the future and it hasn't happened, well, damn, I'm stupid. What is your favorite anime? I love Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. All right, folks, thank you so much for watching this month's Q&A video. We'll see you next month with the Q&A video, but I'll see you in tomorrow's video because we always upload daily wrestling content. Okay, goodbye. All right, get out of here.